I'm your host, Himali.
And I'm your co-host, Nisha. Today's episode features Tanvi Shah, founder and creative director of Salty, a mindful fashion label rooted in comfort and expression. From marketing roles across startups to building her own brand, her journey into conscious fashion is as bold as it is inspiring.
Absolutely. In today's conversation, we'll explore Tanvi's inspiring journey, the core values shaping her vision, and the key takeaways she's collected along the way as a women entrepreneur. Tanvi, we are so excited to have you with us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, guys, and likewise. These were too many kind words for an entrepreneur that's only 4 months into the business. But yeah, I will impart whatever little knowledge that I do have.
So, Tanvi, how was your day been so far?
As you guys already know, it's been a little chaotic since morning. The office building that I work out of, the AC broke down, so it's a little hot in here. But we'll figure. But yeah, it's been a good day. Otherwise, got some good sleep last night, which I think is so essential for this entrepreneurial life because you're always in sleep deficit. So I'm happy about that.
Okay,
That's
let's
good to
start
know.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
What sparked your initial interest in marketing, finance, and entrepreneurship? Was there a specific moment or person who influenced this path?
What sparked my interest in marketing? Hmm. So I did pursue my undergrad in finance. However, marketing was just something that came out of nowhere. I think I was introduced to. Of course, we broadly know the term marketing, even when we're probably in school and stuff like that. We understand it, but we've never been taught marketing. At least I wasn't back in my school, like as a subject very formally. Neither did I pursue my undergrad in that space. However, around my second year of college, when I was pursuing my undergrad in accounting and finance, this one friend, in your second year, I was in HR, which was a college that wasn't very big on attendance. It kind of gave us a lot of room and time to actually intern simultaneously in that case. So there were a lot of folks interning in multiple different companies, different spaces. And then there was this one friend who started interning at it's a digital marketing agency called Shebang. Not sure if you guys have heard of it. A pretty well-established agency now. However, in my second year of college, I think this was their first ever office in Dover Parade, and he'd started interning there. And I was like, "Oh, cool! What are you doing?" And he was like, "Nothing, dude. I'm interning at this place called Shebang, and they have some really cool brands that they work with." And this was also around the same time that I had done this brief summer school from King's College in marketing. Again, picked it up very randomly by chance because when you're in your undergrad, you want to kind of hands on everything whenever you have the time. So I took that summer school up and I really enjoyed it. Like for the first time, I think I actually enjoyed the class this much. So I think it wasn't more so about marketing as a subject, but it was also about the way it was introduced to me and taught to me that really stuck with me. And that is when I was like, okay, you know what? I want to, anyway, just experiment with this space, although I'm not studying this subject formally as my undergrad degree. And then this internship at Shebang, my friend spoke about very fondly. And I was like, oh, this seems like a good time to kind of just apply for this. And luckily, the little work that I had done in my summer school, I'd worked on this brand called Hershey's for a little bit of a marketing project in my summer school project. I kind of had that little work that I'd done ready, used that and applied for my internship. And that is how Shebang kind of like pretty quickly jumped onto like taking me as an intern very sweetly without any other formal education in the space. And that is how I was actually introduced to the world of marketing. And fashion and entrepreneurship was your other bit of it, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, again, everything just stumbled upon by chance. Entrepreneurship, eventually, I just a lot of startups after I graduated. I think just when you're working with a startup, the biggest pro is that you're working with a lot of founders directly. So a lot of my work life years have been spent interacting very closely with founders, which more than anything else introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship, how they think, how they function. And this isn't any space. That's the one area is so common between a lot of founders, successful founders, whether it's I've worked in the ed tech space to I've worked in the finance space, I've worked with an agency. But the way most founders think really stuck with me. And I think that's how I was introduced to the space of entrepreneurship. And fashion honestly just came along when I started Salty. I had no introduction to the world of fashion formally, never worked in that space. But it's just, again, it's a creative space. You have it in you or you don't. And you just kind of latch on to that creative force that's within you. And that's how the world of fashion I was introduced to. Eventually, when I picked Salty up, completely self-learned. In fact, I feel like I've worked through some wonderful fashion interns that I have had for the company, where I was like, girls, I have no knowledge about fashion. You're going to have to teach me what tech packs are and what these different kinds of stitches are, what different kind of fabrics are. And I think that's the best way to learn. And that's how I learned, honestly, when it comes to fashion. But yeah, more on that later. I think we will dive into more questions around that with regards to how I kind of adapted to the world of fashion.
Yeah. That's very grateful insights that you have shared with us as of now. So, was there a moment in your journey till now, like the moment that you said to yourself that you wanted to build and just not support?
So, do you mean with regards to support? Do you mean working with someone else or for someone else vis-a-vis starting your own business?
So support as in you have working for someone, but you chose to build your own startup and you wanted to build something of your own. So was there a moment? What was the deciding factor?
Gotcha. So with regards to the first aspect of this question, when was it that I figured that I want to kind of build versus what was the build versus support. I feel like in this day and age, even with the startups I worked with, it was you almost felt I almost felt like I was building with them, because that's the beauty of working with startups. You still don't feel like you're just like a support system. You do feel like you're a building brick even then. So I never felt that lack. And that's not probably the reason why I even chose to start, have my own startup. Because I think that's the beauty of working even with bigger companies in this day and age, that you really do get the space to kind of build and really be an important building block within an organization. However, for me, it was more about just not finding the kind of work opportunities in the areas that I felt like I had the expertise in, which was multiple areas. And when you do feel like I'm not saying, I'm great in multiple areas, but there were multiple areas that I could kind of impart my value in, which were very different areas, right? From, say, being like a creative head to an operations head to multiple different areas. And that is one thing I think any form of job kind of restricts you with regards to putting boundaries in the areas you can support an organization in. So I often actually say this to myself and a lot of friends, that a great entrepreneur is usually a jack of all, master of none. And I felt like that's what I was leaning towards the end of it. I did not want to kind of restrict myself to only being like a marketing head, like a digital marketing head. There were multiple areas that I wanted to expose myself to. So which is why I think entrepreneurship is the only way in that case.
Good to know this about you. Okay, so moving on, you returned to India with a vision that blends fashion and wellness. So where did that clarity come from?
Sure. When there was actually this was like this first summer when I did get back, and I was going for a beach holiday, and I was looking for like some swimsuits for myself, and I couldn't find any. And this was like when I was looking for swimsuits in India. Not that now there are some great brands, but this was like 3 years ago, where I was still feeling like there was a gap. And I was like, dude, the last time I picked up a swimsuit was, I don't remember it ever being from an Indian brand. It was usually when I was traveling and stuff like that, like a good quality swimsuit. And this really got me thinking that, what is it? Like, why is there such a big gap even now? Like, we have some of the best clothing brands out there with such great options, but why is there such a gap in two areas specifically, which was swimwear and athleisure wear? Again, fabrics for both kind of overlap. So I felt like maybe there is a gap because we probably don't have the right kind of fabrics for it. Or, what is it? And this really got me thinking about how I might want to dive deeper into this space and figure why the gap is. And then it kind of started building from there, where I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe a fashion brand. Maybe I do see a gap in multiple areas, not just this now that I've started digging deeper into this. Swimwear, however, we did not end up launching with because there is still a very big gap in the kind of fabrics you do require for swimwear, which India does not produce just yet. And one thing I was very sure of, if I was building a brand in India, I wanted it to really be made in India right the beginning till the end. I didn't want to sit and import fabrics from China or from Italy like other swimwear brands do, and then kind of make the rest in India. I wanted to use Indian fabrics. I was very sure of that right from the beginning, right off the bat. Wanted to use Indian manufacturing skills, which are fabulous, everything. So that is when we did not end up going ahead with swimwear, but that's how I was introduced to maybe, doing something in fashion nonetheless. And wellness just came along as a byproduct of blending two worlds that I really feel very passionate about. Wellness more than fashion, actually, which has I've always been very, very interested in learning more about, whether it's nutrition or just everything within that space of wellness since I was, I think, back in school. So I always knew that I wanted to kind of build a brand around this in any area and kind of have this as the, somewhere in the background as the theme of whatever I build. Did not again have the formal education in that space to kind of go ahead and be like a nutritionist or do something that hardcore, but I always knew that I wanted to have that as like the theme. And it just somehow, when I started building Salty, right from moving from swimwear to then I actually started working on resort wear, which was beachwear. But I did feel like, I still feel like, and I'm not a fashion designer. I knew that I didn't want to build the kind of company where I'm like, it's more heavy on just fashion designing, where I'm like building custom, designing beautiful custom dresses for you, because that's not my expertise. My expertise was to kind of, I'd say, build a brand. And I knew that I wanted to work towards building a brand more than a label, like a clothing label. So that's how I started digging deeper into this whole area of fashion. And then I wanted to add a personality to Salty, which is how my love for wellness kind of came in. And I kind of blended those two things. And that's how Salty was born. Yeah.
Okay. That's very great to hear. Now, adding to this part of your conversation, how do you see fashion evolving in India, especially in terms of personal expression and inclusivity?
I feel like as of 2025, fashion is super, super evolved in the country already. We're already seeing people get so experimental with it. Right from, of course, it being more inclusive as well. I see, even with Salty, actually, we've had like, for my first drop, I've had sweatshirts and shorts, and I've had like slightly shorter shorts for women and longer shorts for men, because that's how you kind of like, that's what the market kind of usually needs. However, I was very sure that for the most part, I want my brand to be unisex, whether it's the tops, whether it's the t-shirts. Like the bottoms are the only part where we've kind of segregated the men and women's section, but all the other products are unisex, because I personally also believe that having products that are specific to a gender is just kind of doesn't sit very well with me, because I feel like fashion in general is such a form of expression that who decides, like who decides that this is supposed to be for a man or this is supposed to be for a woman? It's just supposed to be a room of expression and freedom in whatever you want to pick. And this was something that I thought of, that why am I even kind of segregating shorter shorts for women and longer shorts for men? Like I kind of want to have that also open. Luckily for me, a lot of influencers also that I worked with ended up picking the women's set, and they were like, listen, we want the shorter, looser shorts. And some men have kind of worn those sets and aced it. And that's when it got me, like, you know, it confirmed my thought process about things being more inclusive in whether it's with regards to gender, whether it's with regards to size. Sizing is something we're still working on, because like we very recently introduced XS and XL. I started with small to large, not out of choice, but out of also when you're a startup, you have limited resources to launch limited number of pieces. You have lower MOQs. So of course that was something that kind of limited to like kind of make my size range more inclusive. But with I am looking forward to kind of making my collection more inclusive as and when I progress, because I already feel like the country is up there when it comes to inclusivity and with regards to fashion evolving, and it's only going to keep getting better. So with regards to the future, I feel like we're already out here, like this is the future.
Good to know your thoughts on this. Okay, moving on. Can you tell us about the early stage of building Salty, and what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in those first months?
The early stages of building Salty was definitely very challenging for me, because I don't come from a fashion background. So just to, as I said, to understand basic words also, like tech packs and stuff like that, I was like, okay, what is this? And how do you make a tech pack? Or how many meters do you even require for like one sweatshirt? You know, even if I'm not like personally, like even to procure fabrics, you need to know, right? Like how many meters do you require, or what kind of fabrics work well with what silhouettes? Just understanding. And the world of textiles is infinite. Like just understanding the billions of woven fabrics that are out there, the different knits, the different weaves, warps, wefts. Like there's just so many terms that were thrown at me that when I almost go to a fabric vendor, I'd get so overwhelmed and I'd be like, oh my God, like I don't get this. Like this is just too many fabrics. It took me a year to just I dedicated one whole year to just learning fabrics, because again, I knew that what I wanted, I didn't just want to compromise on fabrics at all, which is why I skipped the idea of launching swimwears in the first place. So I took a year to just understand fabrics. It was around the same year I also got two fashion interns to help me with designing and kind of understanding fabrics. So this was one of the challenges that I did face early on. The other big challenge was MOQs. This Salty is a bootstrap company. I had limited resources. And the MOQs, which is the minimum quantities that you need to place an order for any particular design to manufacture that. The MOQs were like too high. Like all these exhibitions that I went to, all the vendors that I did speak to, their MOQs started 500 pieces of design, 600 pieces of design, and it overwhelmed me. And I was like, oh my God, like that's like if I want to have 10 designs, I need to like stock up on 6,000 pieces. Is that what you're asking me to do? That's just too much. Eventually researched, met smaller scale manufacturers who may not have had the expertise, but were okay with learning on the go, and eventually stumbled upon a great fabric vendor actually, whose fabrics I loved, who was okay with custom making fabrics to what I wanted it to be. And then he eventually introduced me to this manufacturer who eventually agreed to work with lower MOQs that would kind of give me some kind of a starting point at least. With salty, so I think MOQs is a big issue. Figuring out a vendor for like a manufacturer who's okay with working with smaller MOQs, a manufacturer that kind of, especially knitwear, like wovens, like dresses and stuff like that. You can work with tailors directly. But when you're making knitwear pieces, you need machines. Like you need like more, slightly advanced machines for doing that. And once those machines start running, they an expense to kind of stop them at lower MOQs. So I understand the challenge with this space. So that was, I think, the biggest challenge actually, to find a manufacturer that agreed to like work with the quantities that I needed them to. Yeah.
Okay. So also while we are discussing Salty and your entrepreneurship journey, have you experienced any gender-related barriers in the entrepreneurship space, and how did you navigate them?
Fortunately, not so much. Given that there's a reverse gender bias in the world of fashion, that is changing. That particular area, I feel like, is more biased towards women than men, or has been. But because of the industry that I was in specifically, I didn't face a lot of like gender bias. Maybe in some tiny areas, like for example, dealing with manufacturers over technical matters, where there may be some episodes where they would undermine you more than a male entrepreneur, because they just assume, they'd have this presumption that you may not understand these things. But I think apart from that, not really. Fortunately, I haven't really faced anything. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this. Moving on. What's one thing you love most about your job, and one thing that's really hard?
I love so I think just being able to have your own timelines, which I think is such a blessing, because especially within a creative space and process, it's really hard sometimes to set a timeline and stick to it, because you may not feel satisfied, and you never know when you will feel satisfied. Say we're building a new collection right now, but it's really hard to have set timelines when you're in this creative process of that entire cycle, because you want to you don't know when will that piece be ready enough in your head to move to the next phase. So I think that is something that I feel like is a big pro when it comes to working for yourself. And that I have been enjoying just working at my own pace and timelines. And the whole idea of Salty in general, whether it's me, whether it's with the people that I'm working with, also that I'm working for Salty, is that we as a brand are all about slow living and wellness. Having said that, that does not mean we're lazy workers, but we also make sure that we don't push ourselves beyond our limits that would eventually lead to depleting us of our energies eventually. So we do work keeping in mind that our entire our routine is still wholesome. We won't compromise on, say, our workouts, our meditations, or stuff like that. We'll have our routines in place, and then I'm not one of those startup founders that be like, listen, you have to work till 12 in the night or 1 in the night. Work has to be done. No, if you're gonna if you need to leave work at 7 p.m., you leave work at 7 p.m. But make sure your productivity for the number of hours you are here is high, and then go back, finish your workout, think over the next day, and we'll carry it forward. Unless, of course, there are some things that are set deadlines. Like, for example, if there is a post that needs to go up on our socials, or a campaign that needs to go live right now, it needs to go live right now. We can't miss our days when those things have to happen. If it's Christmas, I can't expect you to be posting a Happy Christmas campaign. But The rest, when it comes to the creative process, at least we do get the I do have the chance to take my own time, and that opportunity is great. Yeah, the con, and what one thing I really struggle with would again be, as a solo founder, I feel like sometimes it can get a little hard to not have someone you can kind of run your ideas through. Of course, you have mentors that you can then bounce your ideas off of. But on a daily basis, there are just so many decisions that you have to take, or there are just so many things that you want a second opinion on. I think in that area, as a solo founder, it can get a little hard. Which is when I feel like that's one area where I feel like having more than one founder can help with in a company. But of course, with me, I'm very blessed because I'm in a creative space. I was very sure that I didn't want another founder because it can get a little harder then.
That's completely understandable. Now, adding to this, as someone who's worked across industries, what's one principle that you never compromise on while working or while making decisions?
Sorry, I didn't quite get the question.
What's one principle that you never compromise on?
Yeah. That I never compromise on while working.
While working, while making decisions.
I think the quality of our products, the quality of what we're putting out there, it's both a pro and a con sometimes, because a lot of well-established brands sometimes may not be like, they may not put out the best possible work in their head, but you have to kind of get the ball rolling nonetheless. However, with Salty, we're very sure that until the product is not something we would want to wear on a daily basis, whether it's in terms of the aesthetic or the fabric, we're not going to put it out there. So that's one principle that we may not kind of compromise on, if I have to say. Yeah, I can't think of anything else right off the head right now.
That's very good to know. Moving on. How has your experience working at multiple startups helped you build a brand from the ground up?
Oh, a lot actually. This, I think, is one of the most important learning phases I've ever had, is working with startups and working with some supremely passionate startup founders. That almost initially, when I started working, I remember my first job, it almost gave me existential crisis when I went back home thinking, listen, what is wrong with either me or them? Like, are they too passionate, or am I not passionate enough? Like, this is crazy. They were like, calling me and making me watch these videos of people on Shark Tank and stuff like that. And they'd be like, look at this. This is how many millions we need to raise. And this is how we need to operate. And this is how... And showing up like that consistently, day after day after day after day, with that level of passion, it really got me thinking about, why am I not as passionate about what I'm currently pursuing? This passionate. And I think that is what really got me to finally working in an area and kind of figuring out what am I this passionate about. So I think working with startups, this was like a big learning factor for me. B, even just understanding that sometimes we assume, at least I did, that most of these entrepreneurs really know it all before they kind of enter whatever industry that they are entering in to. And when I actually worked closely with, I realized that nobody knows it all. Everyone is learning on the job, whether it is your boss or his boss or your boss's boss. Like, everyone is learning on the job. The only thing you need is the willingness to learn, the willingness to Google the shit out of things, and really just learning that. That is one thing. That is another really big learning where I was like, you don't have to know it all. And that kind of gave me the confidence to enter an industry, especially an industry where I really didn't know it all. So yeah, I think it's all about discipline and consistency. That's another big one that I've learned from these founders. That consistency, I think, is the most important factor, which discipline brings into your life. So just being consistent enough is what will kind of compound your growth over time. So yeah, this was another big learning factor. Whereas I'm really thinking off the bat, huh, guys? So like, I'm just really speaking my mind out loud. I mean, it's a slightly mean one, but like seeing a lot of founders around me also, some of them not the smartest, but again, the discipline and consistency, and this is not the people I've worked with, but like people around. Sometimes when I did observe people over the years, it just gets you thinking that, okay, if he can, so can I, or if she can, so can I. So I think that's another thing. It's just about that, and it's just about observing. And one big thing is people skills, like learning how. That's one thing I still apply. Like my first job, just seeing how beautifully the startup founders and my direct bosses used to manage people. That's another really big thing, especially when you want to run an organization. Having good people skills. You can be the smartest in the room. You can genuinely know it all, but to have people skills to retain your employees, to be able to dedicate work to them in a way that they don't feel too overwhelmed, but they'll do it, and they'll kind of stick to the organization. Like just dealing with humans, I think, is the toughest job when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And just that is something I kind of try imbibing how they dealt with me now when I have to deal with people.
Okay. That's great learning about your passion and how you understood that not everyone is just pretending to be a know-it-all till they know it all eventually.
Yeah.
So
now I don't think people are pretending. Yeah. I feel like it's we kind of assume that a lot of times. Like when you walk in a room with some of the smartest people, they're the most honest and the most humble people ever, and they will be the first ones to be like, listen, we don't know this. Like, instead of pretending. And I think that determines your actual IQ. Just being honest about not knowing things.
Yeah, that's understandable. So, what do you do when you are feeling overwhelmed or stretched out too thin?
I do so many things because that's happened to me very often now. But yeah, fortunately for me, I've always been big on spending time alone when I am feeling overwhelmed, to kind of take 2 steps back, meditate. I've been practicing yoga for more than a decade now, so like a lot of my yogic breath works, a lot of different things that I end up doing on a daily basis to kind of not get too bogged down with any situation that comes my way that is out of my expectation. So yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, just having these practices in my daily routine helps me a lot with dealing with situations when I do feel overwhelmed. So yeah, but meditation and breath work would be a big one, and journaling would be another big one that I end up doing on a daily basis. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this insight. Next question. Who are some women in various industries, be it finance, tech, fashion, or any other industry, that you look up to or have inspired you?
Women in other industries. Should have thought of these questions before. Lately, I know it's a slightly eccentric one, but Hailey Bieber has been inspiring me a lot with her brand Rhode. Again, just I think what's inspiring more than the numbers or the amount of money that the brand is making or whatever deals they have recently cracked. More than that, I think what's inspiring is just how women especially somehow balance it all, right from their personal lives to their work lives to their social lives. And I think just being able to have that sense of balance and that kind of energy, like sometimes I'm like, where do they get the energy from to kind of really balance all these areas? I kind of love that about her from the little that I know about her. Yeah, another one would actually be, I think, even now, Priyanka Chopra, because like I recently read her book, and I read a lot about how she struggled with bullying in her school days and college days, and how she's again when you're a military personas or anyone in that space is family member, you're constantly moving schools right from your childhood to really like having to start. They're so used to starting all over again. I feel like the kind of mindset you build in that case just really helps you with so many areas of your life over and over, right? From like when you're in school, just changing your school really does mean having to start all over again. So that the kind of mindset that helps you build is really inspiring. I think her as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna like throw cliche names, because I'm really actually inspired by people that everybody talks about, like a lot of women in the industry that people do usually talk about. But like I would say somehow, yeah, these two have been sort of inspiring.
That's really great to know about how you think that these women are someone who not only inspire you, but even young women who see them on television and more stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you need to know enough about someone to like really for them to inspire you. So I mean, as even when I say this, I don't really know enough. So it's just basis what I see and what I read.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay.
Otherwise, on a daily basis, we're surrounded by, sorry to cut you, but we're surrounded by women in our families that are constantly inspiring us, who you really know are like, they walk their talk. So that is, again, the women in my life, my mom, my daddy. My daddy is actually a really big source of inspiration for me, because she's 78 and she still goes to office. Yeah.
That's so great to know.
Yeah.
Now, what's one compliment or message that someone has given you that has stayed with you till now?
One compliment?
Or a message that has stayed with you till now?
I can't really think of something that deep, but something as basic as in most of my jobs, the one thing that I have been appreciated for highly is, I'd say, my sales skills, which kind of validated that for me. So when it comes to Salty, when I do have to kind of pitch my brand to anybody, whether it's a marketplace I want to list Salty on or anything at all, I do feel like if some people that have been so inspirational in my life, if they felt like that is a strength that I do carry, it really helps me enter rooms where I do have to sell the brand with a lot more confidence now.
Thank you for sharing this. Next question. Is there a moment in your career where you felt like you had to completely trust yourself, even when others didn't quite see the vision yet?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's only my career, as in with Salty, it's only been 4 months, but like it took me 1.5 to 2 years to build Salty. So in those 2 years, when things weren't materializing at the pace that they should have, most people around me were like, okay, now just go get a job. Like, what are you doing now? Enough, or like work on parallelly, or like, figure something else out. Which I even did for a brief period. I did actually work with another company, because I was also almost like, okay, we're not able to kind of crack the kind of brand that I do want to build and the kind of freshness that I do want to bring in the market with the brand. And the MOQs and finding those vendors that I spoke about earlier. I wasn't coming across the right vendors as well at the time. So those 2 years, there were a lot of people questioning me, and B being like, listen, I think what, let's just go back to doing what we were doing. But I was very sure that even if I did go back to doing what I was doing, which is working for another startup or a company, I would do it only until, like, my focus was still salty, like only until I do kind of crack this area. And eventually I did come across like the right folks, and it all like it literally aligned. And I'd say 2 years of really researching, and it took me 2 months for all of it to get aligned. So that those 2 years were a little hard for me to kind of, because when they'd be like, okay, now what's up with Salty? Where have you reached? And I'd be like, I'm still finding a vendor. And it's been like a year, and they'd be like, okay, how? Like, bye, then give up. I was like, no, I know I'll like figure someone that's worth my while. And yeah, that's when those are the harder times, when you don't have work coming in, or you don't have the sales. Even now, right? It's only been 4 months, so there are days when I don't have any orders, and it gets me thinking that am I on the right track? What is going on? Shall we give up? But then you remind yourself that the orders that did come in, or the days that did come in, you are doing something right. People are like, showing interest in the brand and in the company. And I mean, honestly, with Salty, the amount of appreciation we have, touchwood, received right from the very beginning of the brand has been enough of a force to keep me going for a while now, at least. So yeah, that's the, I think, challenge that we do.
Thank you for showing us that trusting yourself is all, like, most of the part is that is needed to keep you going in tough journeys like this. So, if someone met you only through LinkedIn, what do you think they would miss about the real you?
I think with LinkedIn, I think with everyone, right, you only see the formal side of a human on LinkedIn. So yeah, the casual, informal side, what you are when you go back home, take your work shoes off, take your, slip into your pajamas, and then the personality that really emerges. I think that side you rarely see on LinkedIn of any human. So that's something I think it's very missable. But I guess that's something when it comes to Salty. Luckily, the brand gives me room to be more casual and not be very formal in my communication as well, on LinkedIn as well, because it is, again, a creative brand. It's not I'm not a finance geek and a finance startup, so I will be able to really be more casual. So the idea is actually to start being a little more casual and being a little more of who I really am on LinkedIn, and kind of breaking that little barrier that being a little formal can bring in a room, and sharing my ideas more openly and more casually. That is something I actually intend on doing even on LinkedIn more often. Basically making LinkedIn my Instagram. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this about yourself with us. Moving on. If you weren't building Salty today, what other mission or space you might have pursued?
Sorry, if I wasn't building Salty today, what
other mission or space you might have pursued?
Mission or space? I think something in the wellness space, as I already mentioned. I would, and that is something that's not an idea that, Salty is probably the last project I'll ever work on, right? There is going to be room for doing something that is an eventual goal to, of course, we have already launched a wellness lifestyle brand with Salty, but there is a lot more that I would want to do, maybe in with regards to having more wellness events in the country, doing things at a larger scale in the wellness space. That is something even with Salty that we do want to, which is why Salty is, the name is also Club Salty on Instagram that we've chosen, because we really want to build a community of people that are in the same space with every job. So like our first job was the club job, which was around pickle, paddle, tennis. So the whole idea is to kind of bring people who are in a similar space in life together bases our jobs, which is why Club Salty. And as I said, passion is a form of expression. So just being able to find different ways of expressing yourself, um, whether it's through Salty or it's through our wellness events or multiple other areas in life, that is something I am looking at eventually, even, diving into.
So, adding to this, what change in the fashion or wellness industry would you love to lead or witness in the next decade?
Fashion industry. I think India building more brands in the Western space. I think we've aced it, of course, in the ethnic West space with regards to having more brands that have gone global. Whether it's Manish Malhotra or Sabyasachi, like you do have these brands that have made it in the ethnic West space where people outside the country also talk about it. But I feel like especially in the Western West space, or I barely see brand names, Indian brand names being spoken about globally. I think that is still a gap. I don't see a lot of these new age streetwear brands are trying to kind of establish that kind of global dominance eventually. But that is something that I do feel like I would want to. That was your question, right? What was your question again?
Just lead or witness. You
Yeah,
could
so that is
even
something
be
I would.
leading it.
Yeah, I would want to lead it and kind of witness other similar brands kind of reach that stage.
All right, moving to the next question. Let's say a young woman is entering a room full of powerful voices and she feels small. What would Tanvi Shah whisper in her ear before she walks in?
Hmm. The face and stage I'm in life, I'd be like, babe, really, really, really go give it your all right now. Because as you grow older, it's true, no matter how fit you are gonna start losing energy eventually. It's true, post, like as you're getting closer to your 30s or your 40s, you're really gonna, with every decade, you really lose a little bit of energy and gain a lot more wisdom as well. But you do lose a little bit of physical energy. You trade wisdom for that kind of energy. So I'd be like, give it your all with regards to experimenting, putting yourself in spaces. Just don't be lazy would be my 2 cents. Like, don't be lazy. Really get out of your room, get out of your bed, go for that event if you have to, go for that networking event, go for that party, go for that, whatever night out. Don't trip about it because you're not going to have the energy. You'll gain the wisdom, but you won't have the energy eventually.
Yeah.
So I just be like, go all in and with anything, whether it's work, partying, your relationships, like just go explore, go ham. Really, just go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
So now, for that, we were on our last question as of now. If you have something to share with us that was not covered in the questions, you can go ahead.
Sorry, if I have something to share with you, that's.
Yeah, I was saying that we are done with our questions from our end.
Oh,
if you have something to share with us that was not covered in the questions, you can go ahead.
I think it's beautifully covered everything. I don't have any more knowledge to impart. This is all that I had in me. But yeah, I guess this is it. Yeah. What do you guys do? I actually don't know enough about you guys. Maybe take that off your recording conversation.
Yeah, okay. So we'll end this and then we can talk about everything.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Tanvi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanvi, for opening up and sharing your journey with us. Your honesty and drive are truly inspiring. We are sure your story will encourage many women to take that first bold step. It's been such a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you so much. It was really good.
Tanvi, thank you for bringing your spark for Inspire. Here's to Salty growing stronger, bolder, and shaping the future of fashion with heart.
Thank you.
We
I
wish
hope.
you the best.
Thank you, girls. It was so nice talking to you all. I wish you guys the best too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.